Have you ever thought about someone you once loved deeply, only to wonder, why did she break my heart and walk away? Why? What really happened between the two of you? If you've ever asked yourself that question, then you've clicked on the right video, because sometimes the most painful breakups aren't the dramatic ones. They're the quiet ones. The ones where you slowly start feeling them drift away, even while they're still sitting right next to you. Maybe she stopped texting you the way she used to. Maybe her voice didn't carry the same warmth anymore. Maybe the affection slowly disappeared. And the worst part, there wasn't one specific moment when everything changed. No huge fight, no shocking betrayal, no clear ending. It felt like love simply faded away. And then the questions begin. Was I not enough? Did I do something wrong? Did she ever really love me at all? But psychology reveals something surprising. Most relationships don't end because of one big mistake. They end because of small psychological shifts that happen so gradually that neither person notices them until the relationship is already falling apart. Today we're going to explore why people stop loving someone they once cared about deeply. And the answer might be far more uncomfortable than you expect. If you're interested in understanding the psychology behind relationships, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay until the end, because every part of this story matters. Let's begin. Part 1. Love rarely dies overnight. Movies teach us that love ends dramatically. A betrayal, a huge argument, a shocking secret. But real life isn't usually that simple. Relationship researchers have found that emotional disconnection often happens slowly. Imagine you own a plant. Every day you water it, you take care of it, and it stays healthy. But then life gets busy. You stop watering it for a month, and one day you look at it and realize it's dead. The plant didn't die suddenly. It died little by little, day after day, without anyone noticing. Relationships work the exact same way. Most people don't wake up one morning and decide they no longer love their partner. Instead, they slowly stop investing emotionally. A conversation gets ignored, a concern gets dismissed, an emotional need goes unmet. Again and again and again. Each moment seems insignificant, but over time, those moments begin changing the foundation of the relationship. Because love isn't just a feeling, it's a process, and every process requires maintenance. When that maintenance disappears, the emotional connection starts weakening, even when both people still care. Part 2. The human brain gets used to everything. One of psychology's most powerful principles is adaptation. The human brain adapts to almost everything, the good and the bad. Think back to the beginning of your relationship. Every text message felt exciting. Every date felt special. Every conversation felt meaningful. Even the smallest details seemed fascinating. But over time, the brain adjusts. What once felt extraordinary starts feeling normal. This isn't a relationship problem. It's a human brain problem. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation, the tendency to become accustomed to positive experiences. The problem begins when people mistake this natural adjustment for falling out of love. They start thinking, she doesn't seem as excited anymore. Things don't feel the same. Maybe the love is gone. But mature love doesn't feel like constant excitement. It feels different, calmer, safer, deeper. The danger is that many people spend their lives chasing the intensity of early attraction, instead of building the depth of long-term connection. Because excitement naturally fades, but intimacy is intentionally built. And many relationships collapse when people confuse the two. Part 3. Emotional neglect is more dangerous than arguments. Most people are afraid of conflict, but psychologists often worry more about something else. Emotional neglect. When couples argue, they're still emotionally engaged. They're still fighting for something. But neglect is different. Neglect happens when someone stops listening, stops paying attention, stops asking questions, stops caring about their partner's inner world. And the scary part? It's incredibly quiet. Imagine sharing your deepest thoughts and receiving only distracted responses. Imagine talking about your day and feeling completely unheard. Imagine reaching for connection again and again, only to find emptiness. Eventually the brain adapts, not by fixing the relationship, but by lowering expectations. The person stops trying, stops sharing, stops opening up, and slowly, the emotional bond begins to weaken. Not because of hatred, but because of absence. Because love struggles to survive where tension no longer exists. Part 4. Unmet needs become silent resentments. Here's something many people don't realize. People rarely leave because of what happened last week. They leave because of what has been happening for years. Every person has emotional needs. the need to feel appreciated, respected, valued, understood, safe. When those needs go unmet for long periods of time, something dangerous begins to grow. Resentment. And resentment is dangerous because it's silent. The person may continue smiling, continue showing up, continue acting normal, while internally becoming more disconnected every day. Psychologists often compare resentment to emotional debt. Every disappointment adds another payment. At first, the debt seems manageable, but eventually, the balance becomes overwhelming, and that's when people leave. From the outside, it looks sudden, but psychologically, they began leaving a long time ago. Part 5. Sometimes people fall in love with an idea, not a person. This part is uncomfortable, but it's important. Sometimes people don't fall in love with who you really are. They fall in love with who they imagine you to be. At the beginning of relationships, our brains naturally idealize people. We focus on strengths, ignore weaknesses, and create a story in our heads. But eventually, reality arrives. The fantasy meets the real person, and some people struggle with that transition, not because their partner changed, but because their expectations were unrealistic. The relationship wasn't failing, the illusion was. And when the illusion disappears, many people mistake that disappointment for lost love. So, why did they stop loving you? Maybe it wasn't one mistake, maybe it wasn't one argument, and maybe it wasn't because you weren't good enough. Sometimes love fades because emotional connection was neglected. Sometimes because resentment quietly accumulated. Sometimes because expectations replaced reality. And sometimes because people stopped choosing each other every single day. That's the truth about love that almost nobody talks about. Love isn't a destination. It's not something you find once and keep forever. It's something you build, protect, maintain, again and again. Because the strongest relationships aren't held together by passion alone. They're held together by attention, by effort, by understanding, and by thousands of small moments that tell another human being, I still see you, I still value you, I still choose you. Maybe that's the most important lesson of all. The opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is disconnection. And the moment two people stop reaching for each other emotionally, love begins to disappear. Not all at once, but one unnoticed moment at a time, until one day, they become strangers again. And that's how many love stories truly end. If this video changed the way you think about relationships, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because understanding the psychology of love might be the very thing that helps you protect the connection you're most afraid of losing. And remember, sometimes saving a relationship starts with understanding what quietly destroys it.